Holy crap. We are live. Look at this. We've got guests. So, welcome to
Guests? We used to have guests all the time.
welcome to Talking Crit. I am Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. To me, stage right is none other than Bad Mike, the devil himself, my once a week work spouse. Proceeding underneath Bad Mike is the Wonky. And if you don't know who the Wonky is, you will learn today. And under me, just because that's how we didn't plan this, folks, is none other than Ryan Howard, as he has it, co-founder of Guts and Glory. So this is going to be an interesting show, folks. It's going
This
to be
is indeed.
So first of all, you said something about Satan, but it wasn't Satan. I'm on heavy medication because I have a pinched nerve. I thought you said Satan. I think you said Santa. So
no, I didn't. Mike, you might have Santa's build. I will grant you that, and you might have some red on you, which I will grant you that.
Yeah.
But last I checked, Santa did not have blinking red ears.
Well, they had the same number of letters, just kind of switched around a little bit. So there's an N and a T switched around. Yeah.
And Santa says, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah. I got mixed up. You can see how I got mixed up there.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. I just felt and look, these lights are just so festive. Look how festive
they are. That is so much fun. I love it.
Yeah. So
thank you guys for having us on. First and foremost, I'm so excited to be here chatting with you too. This is like highlight of the month for me.
So we've been on Ryan's show, and Ryan's been on our show. I don't think we've ever had you, Keelan. So. Keelan Halvorsen, great young artist. He is going to be a guest at North Texas next year. He was a guest this year also because we like to get young, kick-ass, hot, cool talent there. And he is a very talented artist. And not just
and hot.
That goes without saying.
You can't use hot, Mike, and then leave out hot.
Right, exactly. I'll take whatever little credits I can here.
But maybe I'll ask Keelan a few questions because it was kind of weird because he just shows up at the con one day and he's from Alaska. I'm like, dude, the only person I know from Alaska is the other artist. Why am I?
James.
Yeah, I think the drugs are already kicking in. Yeah. I'm on some very heavy medication right now.
I love Jay Shields too.
Yeah, Jay Shields.
Like my favorite.
So I was like, that's good. So anyway, so I got to know Wonky, and he is so awesome, and he is he's young, but he's really old schooly, and he loves all the old school stuff, and it's just so cool to have. I love to see guys like him and Ben Barsh and the younger generation that are really into, they like the new stuff, but they also respect the old stuff. So I just think Keelan's really cool dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to have him on, and they're going to talk about a project that they're going to be doing next year. It's going to be a Kickstarter, and they wanted to come on, and Eric and I haven't had a guest in a month, so we're like desperate. We're like, yeah, come on, please come on the show, so we don't have to listen to us talk again for an hour or so.
We can only beat the Wacky horse so much.
We can only beat up on Watts so much.
Yeah.
So this is. And we're also going to have another drawing for OSR Christmas about 9:00 or so.
Yeah.
So get your comments in. If you comment, you will be put in the drawing. Now, what's the reset on that comment thing, Eric? Is it like every 15 minutes?
I'm not even sure, but I'm thinking that you probably got to comment about 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
So try to say something. Hurt, okay, folks.
Try to say something every 10 minutes, even if it's like
no. So right before.
We're 10 minutes before. Okay.
Right before we do the thingamajiggy.
We'll let you know then. Yeah. Definitely say something. Even if it's, Eric, you suck. Mike, you're awesome.
Keelan's hot.
Yeah, Keelan's hot. Who's Ryan Howard? Yeah.
They're loading the polls already. It's not even time.
I'm just giving you a hard.
They're already loading the polls.
I love it.
So, and by the way, so we're going to talk about that, and then we'll talk about Ryan's show because Ryan has a kick-ass show also.
Thank you.
And he has better guests than we do by far.
I'm repping tonight.
I don't know how he gets the guests he does. But yeah. Tell me who you have to sleep with, Ryan, to get those guests. I don't know. So
apparently you, Mike, but
I know he gets better guests than us.
I know.
So go ahead, guys. The floor is yours. Talk to us about what you guys are up to and your projects and all that fun stuff, and I'll ask questions as we go along. So
you want to take the lead, Ryan, on this?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
I'll follow you.
What Wonky and I are working on right now is it began life on Rollin' Bones. Actually, it began life when I brought Wonky onto Rollin' Bones after North Texas, when we actually got to talk to each other and get to know each other a little bit better. And it was actually the legendary Jim Wampler who pulled both of us aside offline and said, okay, I don't know what, but you two need to be doing something.
Quest from a wizard.
very, very Jim Wampler-ish, yes.
He said, I don't know what form this needs to take. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide what this is going to be, but you two need to be doing something as a team. And so we started talking to each other. Wonky's always had this, kind of big passion project that he's been working on that a lot of you have probably heard about called Bellafallo. I have a similar passion project that I've been working on, kind of a what I like to call Sin City meets Lankamar, which is called Nighthaven. And these are both projects that we've had, false starts on kind of personally, individually. We've run into some speed bumps. And once we kind of got talking to each other about our projects, the conclusion that we came to is we need to be helping each other get these projects out there. And so we need to, like Jim said, become a team. And what's this going to be? We wanted to create something that was old school in attitude, old school in mentality, because that's where our influences come from. But we didn't want it to be tied to a specific period of time. Because when you talk to people our age and you say the word old, everything you say after that might as well be the teacher from Charlie Brown.
It does kind of happen that way. It's a very interesting dynamic, especially I don't know, my love for role-playing games is so completely rooted in that OSR movement. Everything from, I was kind of introduced through DCC instantly into Swords and Wizardry, and that's kind of where I really started learning and grasping around. And it is like those older games wrote this beautiful universal game language. It's I think Greg Gillespie once said that it is like the Rosetta Stone of RPG gaming or something to that effect, and it stuck with me so truthfully. And so I am beyond inspired by these older games, but I wasn't there for that retro nostalgia. I can't pick up on that. I just I wasn't around at that point in time. I was born in 96. This is so far before me that I can definitely look back to appreciate and learn so much from the people that came before, but I can't be that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of, yeah.
And I, Mike and I have talked about this, and that, there are gatekeepers in the OSR, and it's kids stay off my lawn. And I've always been one who wants to see new blood come in, because you know what? As Mike has often said, the originals in the OSR, they're doing one thing, really. They're getting old and they're passing on. I mean, that nature is what nature is, and if you like the style of gaming and you want it to survive, you have to bring in new blood. You can't gatekeep. You can't yell at the kid who steps in your lawn to retrieve their ball and like, oh well, this is a nice lawn. Get off my lawn, you piece of
right. So, especially hoodlums like us who'll be skateboarding on your porch.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Doug and I decided a few years ago, when he was still with us, that we had the same guest year after year, and then so I told the story before. We had one year we had Tim Cask, Jim Ward, and Frank Metzer, who all had operations. They were driving around in little carts. And afterwards I said, Doug, I don't want to be CartCon. I don't. I love these guys, but this is an image for our con that I don't want to have, a bunch of guys in carts. And so he's like, you're right. He goes, well, I don't know anybody that does stuff. So you're going to have to start finding guests that are younger. I'm like, okay, that's no problem. And so, we started having guys, like Levi Combs and Greg Gillespie. And I say younger, and I joke because, Jeff Delaney has been a guest for a while. He goes, dude, I'm in my 50s. I'm like, but you're younger than me, so you're young. But
yeah, kid.
yeah, but we got, so the last few years we've been trying, because what Eric says is true. I mean, you've got to get younger because if you're just doing an old school convention only for old schoolers, you're going to be in big trouble in 10 to 20 years. You really are, because all these guys are not going to be around. They just aren't. I mean, it's just a fact of nature. It's nothing against them. It's just age gets us all. And so you've got to start looking beyond that and say, okay, who is younger, but they still have the old school mentality. And that's why the last couple of years we've had Ben Barsh, we've had Keelan Halvorsen. We're trying to get younger guests at the con to continue the old school tradition, but from a new set of eyes and new head and new everything, because we're not going to be around. I mean, Eric and I are. I mean, I'm 60. Eric's pushing 60. In 10 years, we're going to be CartCon. We're going to be driving around little carts.
CartCon, that's so good. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. That torch does need to be passed. And what I see, especially a lot of younger people latching to, is the retro aesthetic, all the exterior things that kind of get pegged into it. Well, I'm much more interested in holding true to the game design ethos that surrounded those early games. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
which is an entirely different thing. Like I don't.
Obviously. I mean, look at OSC. That's why OSC's been so successful. And when I talked about this before, also, is that if you go to their blogs and go to their Facebook page, it's evenly divided among people like Eric and I that like old school gaming and like, oh, this is just BX, this is cool, redone, and 5e people that left 5e because 5e it's just not doing it for me. No, you can never die, and it's overly complicated. Can I do something simpler but that's really cool and deadly and fast? Like, oh yeah, we got OSE, and that's what's so cool. That's why I brought both of them together. And I think you look at Shadow Dark's the same way. You got people that like old school stuff, and then you got people that play 5e, and they're like, hey, I want something different. And so I think that aesthetic, you can definitely bring that aesthetic into the new world, so to speak.
Most definitely. I love what you're saying there too, especially because those are big games that influence me in some way or other. I think OSE and Shadow Dark are almost like opposite ends of that very same spectrum line. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, there are arguments that Shadow Dark isn't old school. Shadow Dark is very much old school. It might be built on a 5e chassis. I should say, if you've ever been one who's been subject to going to a car show in an out of the way place, and people bring out like Model T and these other old cars, and then there's a person with a replica, which is built on a modern chassis and doesn't stall out going down the street, but looks awesome, and it's like, wow, that looks old school, but it isn't. That's Shadow Dark. It's built on a modern chassis, but
very good analogy.
Well.
Yeah, well thought out there.
Well, I've actually thought that one out
before.
I've had the argument with old grognard F-tards that can't get beyond it. Like, oh, it's not old school.
Well, we had an argument. Well, we had the argument with Greg Gillespie because Greg Gillespie didn't think Shadow Dark was old school, but for him it's not, because he's old school. But it has an old school aesthetic. I mean, yes, you could say yes, it's using this, like Eric said, it's like a chassis. I mean, it's using this, but how they approach it is how it's done. And I guess that's what you guys are going to look at too, right? When you come up with your creation.
And for me, it's not like, the aesthetic is one thing, but and I didn't realize this until kind of last night, talking to the guys from Black Lodge Games on my stream, and they were talking about the latest version of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. And what they kind of pulled out of that game is that it's very much like a shadow puppet play of Vampire the Masquerade. It's playing at the original kind of ethos of vampire, but it can't be vampire because it's outside of the time that vampire was released in.
Okay.
And what you see with a lot of kind of millennial media is that same ethos, that same kind of, we're going to take this old thing and we're going to kind of reanimate its corpse for you and make it dance around and move. But there's nothing, that's all it is just this skin suit that is now moving around, insisting that this is, yes, this is really Star Wars, or this is really Dungeons and Dragons, or this is really, fill in your IP there. But at the end of the day, it's not. It's just the kind of exterior trappings of it, if that. And so what I'm looking for is actually moving beyond just having the look of old school. I want the soul of old school. I want the I want the feel of old school, the heart of old school, and I want it in a new presentation. I want to give people something new that calls back to something familiar, and that's really what's driving me in my creative process for this.
And I find that really interesting because I look at you talking about modern day IPs in the entertainment industry. Well, look at the Equalizer and Magnum and all these other shows. I'm surprised they haven't brought back Emergency and well, they already brought back SWAT as a movie, right? But they bring it back in name only, and they change everything about it. And there's one show that they brought back that they did their best to keep to the core tenets of it. Now, I was never a fan of Frasier, but everything I've heard about Frasier coming back is if you were a fan of the original Frasier, it's like coming back to a familiar show. Even though there are changes, obviously things change over the course of 20 years, but it's a familiar show with familiar actors, and it keeps to the same beat. It's not trying to be something different, claiming to be, I don't know, the inheritor of Star Wars, Star Trek, Magnum PI.
Oh, by the way, can I do my quickie review here? Equalizer movies. Doesn't watch Equalizer TV show. Okay. Magnum PI sucks. Do not watch that piece of shit. So that's
straight to the trash.
We had one thumbs up, one thumb in the middle, and one thumb down there. So.
There you go. Completely, Michael.
That's awesome.
The Magnum TV show is terrible. Higgins is a hot British girl. That's all you need to know. That's it.
Could be worse.
Nobody can match the original actor for Higgins. I'm sorry. It's just it's bad. It's bad. Mm-hmm. And then I made myself watch an episode because I'm a big Magnum fan, and I'm glad I couldn't find my gun at the house at the time because it was loaded, and I would have used it on myself. So I think it wasn't doing that. That's how fucking bad it was.
The TV is innocent. It's only the delivery method. I'm glad you're leaving the TV out of this.
It would be like, should I shoot the TV? Should I shoot my brain?
Right.
Yeah. No, it was terrible. It's terrible. So the movies are great. Denzel Washington. The three Equalizer movies are freaking awesome, and the show's okay. I can't remember the actress who plays the Equalizer on the show, but she's okay. She's okay.
Queen Latifah.
Yeah, Queen Latifah. She's doing her best. Okay, she's doing her best. The Magnum show's an abomination, but
that sounds terrible.
It's terrible. It's just awful.
Yeah. I'm not too thrilled about the way most entertainments are leading towards. It just seems like a lot of rebranding, rehash trash that I'm not interested in, and neither are any of my friends. It's a weird time to be in. And so I think it kind of
it's cheap. They do it because it's cheaper than thinking of their own ideas, right? Because all they're doing is that they're counting on our nostalgia, Eric and I, and maybe even you. Maybe when you're a kid, you watched reruns of that. They're counting on our nostalgia to basically fuel our interest in it. And I think people are starting to get a little tired of that because I notice there's a lot of Star Wars fatigue.
Yeah.
There's been some Star Trek fatigue. A couple other franchises like that. I noticed there's some fatigue built around. Like, okay, this do something new. And Eric and I just talked about this a while back. The whole fact that the 20th anniversary of of D&D, they're coming out with a new version of SoCal. I mean, they've done Tomb of Horrors 8 million times. They've done Village of Hamlet for every edition. Do something. Create the next kick-ass adventure. Don't just keep reskinning Tomb of Horrors, Temple of Elemental Evil, Village of Hamlet. Keep on the Borderlands. Do your own kick-ass classic adventure.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And especially with that, at this point in time in my life, I've probably spent 1,000 hours or so going over B1 and B2, almost religiously. I've learned those books inside and out. It's my favorite. I call it like my base template for where I got the majority of my game design theory from. That's what inspires me. That's what I love. And I love that style of play. But I don't need another copy.
Right.
Thank you. Goodman did it pretty well recently, and I'm happy enough with that.
Now I'm all full confession. I'm working on a sequel to B1 for next year's North Texas. It may not come out till 2025 because I'm slow. Tom's going to help me with it, but it is a lower level to B1. It's not exact.
Okay.
It's adjacent. It's not a redo of B1.
Okay.
It's if you go through B1 and you want to see what's below B1, like way below, there's some really creepy stuff down there. And so I
love that. Expansions to old modules are the first and foremost thing I pick up every time. Like, I think it was Tom did a book for The Lost City.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I've spent as much time in that as I have the actual Lost City.
We sold out of that. And we had 200 copies sold out. And of course, in our basic expert series, we've done a sequel to, we did one for Caves of Chaos, B2. We did one for Lost City. Oh, we did one for Aladred. It's another island near Aladred. These are all things you can add to the classic module. They're not redos of the classic module at all. You can add it to there. So if you're doing it and you want another adventuring space here, and Tom and I are huge BX fans, and so this is pure BX. We only use BX rules for that. And I like that rather than just redoing it. I'm with you. I don't want to just reskin a classic. I want to say, okay, how can I make this classic better, or how can I add to it? And that's what I look for too, Keelan. You said I'm the same way. I'm a sucker for somebody saying, hey, I'm a big fan of fill in the blank favorite module, and this is a homage to it. I'm not gonna redo that module, but it's sort of a homage to it. And sometimes it's fun, finding the Levi does that a lot in his stuff. He'll put things in there, and you'll say, oh, I know where he got that, or that's a callback to this module. I like stuff like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we mentioned earlier about the aesthetic. So to you two, tell me, you can go one at a time. What is your idea of what is the aesthetic of old school? When you say old school and you say that old school aesthetic, what are you looking at? For instance, some people might say, well, old school means you can die, and you can die at any time. You have to roll up a character. It means save or die if there's a poison. So we'll do Ryan first. What is your aesthetic for old school? What means old school to you when you're playing role playing games?
So when I think old school, and this is probably my heritage talking here, I think of the Conan progression. I think of what Alexander McCrease calls adventurer, conqueror, king. Right. You are someone who is going to go from, kind of being born a peasant, being born low. You fight your way up to the tier of adventurer, and through hard scrabble, survival, and guile, and a little bit of luck, you work your way into being a conqueror, and then you work your way up to being a goddamn king. That is old school to me.
Absolutely. I love that.
So in other words, no MCDM RPG for you.
No.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk about that tonight.
I got some hate by. No, Matt really loves the old school stuff. That's why he told you it's exactly not like Shadow Dark.
I'm going to do my thumb again. No, I'll keep my thumb. I'll keep my thumb later.
To answer Mark's genre mixer here in chat, yes, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
All right.
So Wonky, what is your aesthetic? What do you look at when you say old school?
I think it's really cool working with Ryan on all this stuff because he very much has that mentality of the Adventure Conquer King progression as well as that Bronstein early game kind of play. I am almost entirely wrapped up in the idea of procedural dungeon crawling. I like it to be intense. I like it to be hard. I like it to be creative communal problem solving, and there's something about that that is not being catered to in most modern games that I'm seeing, and so that's where I really want to spend my time. I want to design good challenging dungeons for people to earn their win from. And that's another thing, is I want to really start asking around. You guys might actually be the perfect one to lead me. I've seen things of tournament D&D. I know Bill Barsh does something very similar. It's a more kind of competitive. I don't know how that exactly works, but it's something I'm devoutly interested in pursuing further, if that makes sense. I really like that very harsh win-loss I don't like modern character identity exploration of 5e play that you typically see. I like the expectation of I'm probably going to die in this dungeon, and I think emergent narrative instead of pre-written stories. There's a lot I could say about what I think old school is, but it's hard to kind of encapsulate in one little bottle.
Right.
So well, let's segue then into exactly what you guys are doing, and then you can tell us how that relates to old school. So I had a talk with Keelan when I told him he was a special guest, and he gets so excited about stuff. Well, I love Keelan. He is so pumped to come to North Texas and be a special guest. Gary said the same thing, Keelan. Like he said, nobody was excited about being a special guest last year as Keelan. I said, I know, I love to see that. That's why I like also inviting people like Keelan, because you invite someone like Tim Cass, like another convention. No, I loved him, and I
wouldn't have been able to get where I am without his teaching, though. Regardless.
But I'm just saying, he's done it.
Like
he's done it a million times, and Keelan has it. It's great just to have Keelan. So, tell us about your project. And so you mentioned this project, and I thought this is kick ass. I think this is a great idea. I don't think anybody's really doing this right now. Segue into what you guys actually are going to be doing next year.
Absolutely. Where to even begin with that? Such a good question. So, main thing is I am going to have my first full finish printed in hand adventure by North Texas. Now, Ryan and we're in cahoots with this. We're all teamed up here. And so what we've got going on is kind of a plan for an almost kind of double release thing going on with this. And because we're bound by this, gaming ethos of like, let's remain true to old school, guts and glory, all that. And so what I'm personally working on right now, my original intent was to have it published by Christmas in like 5 days for my own module here. So we were a little too ambitious, a little too idealistic, and not as objective as we could have been in trying to produce 2 adventure modules in 2 months with a 2-man team. So that didn't work out as well as expected, but North Texas is the big game plan. We're going to be kickstarting in February, March, sometime in there. But what we do have coming up really soon is we've been putting a lot of effort and energy into getting something out to release as a Christmas special. So Ryan, let's ping pong this.
Yeah. So what we'll be releasing on or around Christmas Day is an adventure that I wrote called O Night Divine. And it serves as my homage to Christmas movies. It's also an introduction to my world of Nighthaven, which we can get into in a little bit. But the basic premise of this adventure is that the Nighthaven equivalent of Santa Claus, who is called the Solstice Knight, has been downed and crash landed in the city of Nighthaven. And the party has to go and find him. They have to find the artifacts that give him his power. And if he dies, someone in the party has to become Santa Claus and save Christmas.
Nice.
Like the Tim Allen movie. You're suddenly recruited into doing this.
It's the Santa Claus meets Highlander in a lot of ways.
Very much is. And this is kind of like our early test flight as we start off into publishing together with all this kind of stuff, And I guess a little more towards my own project is I have a big spooky adventure coming up for North Texas here. It's kind of a conglomeration of two of my adventures I've been drafting up for a long time now. The entire thing is bound by a regional area hex crawl, very traditional old school there, with two main dungeons. The first part is called His Heinous Harvest, and that is basically a a failed baron attempting lichdom, but got tricked by the chaos gods into the most unfortunate of fates. And I'm not going to lie, it borderlines on the Lamentations level of this is some dark, spooky stuff, but we're coming at it with a very different angle in that this evil is more than anything meant to be destroyed and vilified, not glorified and, woohoo. So then tied into that, I have an adventure called Human Resources, which is kind of I don't want to call it the next door dungeon. There's like 100 miles separating them, but the next door dungeon, and it's more or less how local goblin tribes have gathered together and have begun using humans as resources, giving the name Human Resources. So it all kind of ties around region infected by chaos in the world of Bellafallo is where this all takes place. My own homebrew world, which is not traditional fantasy. It's more like pioneer pirate era meets biblical antiquity, and kind of has that overarching feel of Dark Age, but the mud, gritty, dark blood, icky. But yeah, sorry for rambling.
No, that's great. No, I want you to talk about it because when we talked about your world, I was very interested because one of the things that most, and we can talk about the MCDM boo-boo, but most of the problems I think with a lot of the things that come out is D&D. No matter how you slice it, AD&D was built on a high fantasy world. It's a high fantasy concept, and I've always been more attracted to low fantasy. Like you said, the gritty, the Conan, more Conan than Tolkien, I guess.
Yes.
I mean, Tolkien's great. I mean, that's high fantasy. It's awesome. It's kick-ass. You're saving the world, whatever. But I always like Conan just wandering around a bar, and some guy says, "Hey, there's a tower out here that has treasure in it." Like, I'm gonna go climb that tower. And I'm drunk as hell, but I'm gonna go climb the tower. So that's the kind of stuff I like. And everybody's there's dirt and mud and sandals and crap, and so I don't think D&D has really leaned into that as much as it should. Now it has the last 20 years maybe, because you have Hyperborea, Goodman Games, the DCC kind of leans into that a little bit. You kind of leaning a little bit more into that.
I liked that last comment I just saw. Outclassed. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
I got a feeling we have a frozen Michael. Because Mike doesn't shut up for that long.
Either that or the meds really kicked in.
nor does he stay still for that long.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I want to do this, like Michael. Wow.
To quickly answer Anon's question here, if it's OG Battle Axe Santa, yes, it is. Santa. To give you a preview, the Solstice Knight is a paladin, so you're dealing with some holy ass kicking is kind of Santa's MO in Nighthaven.
Oh,
I love it.
Pretty cool. But by the way, RPG Grandma, you apparently scared away Mike. You popped in. And Mike popped out.
She won me over, though. Conan and Coco, you don't get a better holiday.
Yeah.
That's life right there. What is best? That.
Here, I'll put everybody back in their initial position so we don't get confused.
Thank you.
Mike, welcome back, Mike. I hope that your disappearance was beneficial.
I blame witchcraft.
He's still all right. He's blinking now. So
my router decided to reset just now. So.
Oh, okay.
That's
everything went off. Router resetting. Why? Why are you doing it at 7:30?
Great comment.
It's a terrible time to reset. Okay, but I'm back.
Oh, yes. Great comment. The K5K. Great to see people of a certain age, younger than me, so behind OSR gaming. Again, that's the future. Mike and I, we're not the future. We're barely the present at this point. You want the future, it's gonna be the wonky generation. Oh, the wonky
Yeah.
generation.
I'm so
That's it.
proud to be a part of that. Like, I
Yeah.
have gotten nothing but support and love as I've learned through these games. I didn't know anything coming into this. I got brought into D&D through 4th edition because I was like, wow, what's this book? Fancy,
Mhm.
fancy. And then, everything led to one another. And for,
That's fun.
how unwelcoming of a vibe and reputation OSR gets, they basically helped build me a career out of this and, led me in every path I needed to be going down. And like, I don't know, I couldn't be more thankful for these people that have shown me old school gaming and what it can be.
Yep.
Like it's life.
And my introduction was a degree worse than Wonky's. I am the dreaded theater kid who found 5e. That's where I come from. So it wasn't until Levi Combs kind of introduced me. Yeah, I was introduced to the OSR by Levi Combs, which is a bit like being introduced to drinking with a Four Loko. So
I love that.
Oh man, that is.
oh, we've got an
spot
echo
on.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh.
It's probably me. Hold on.
yeah, Mike, you sound a little bit muted.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out. There we go. You know how much trouble I
What
have
better
getting
of a
my
person
headphones-
to introduce than Levi, though?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, honestly, he is I hate to say this, he's a really hip dude that, young people can easily click to. He's so
Definitely.
friendly and, outgoing with all his stuff. He's got the cat's pajamas. Dude has been such a good maven for the hobby.
Mhm.
And I love everything he's written because I'm the same way about Matt Finch. Everything Matt Finch writes, there's something about it that's just really unique and cool. The same thing with Levi. Everything he writes has a just something about it. It's not like everything else you've read.
Right.
He'll and it's a little darker than the normal D&D adventures. It's maybe a little twist that you or I might not put in there because maybe the kids might read this, and I just love the way he approaches it. It's very very pulpy. He's very very, pulp influenced, and I think that's a good thing for.
I think he creates the things he wants to play and that he wants to see, and really
Yeah.
just doesn't cater that to anything. Like, this is what he wants, out of his hobby, and I respect that so much.
Well, a little Levi Combs news. I don't know if Levi's publicly announced this. I don't know. I don't know if Emperor's Choice has publicly announced this, but I do know that they are working on a new edition of Arduin, Bloody Arduin, and Levi is on the team. So I mean,
Nice.
that's one of those things that if you're into classic gaming, Arduin was huge in that time period, and the fact that it's still around and they're going to reboot it, and to have somebody like Levi as part of that process, it's in good hands.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's right up his alley because
Oh God, he loves it. Yeah.
Arduin is everything in the kitchen sink. It's just got all it's got flying sharks with lasers. It's got I mean it's just crazy. It was West Coast gaming. We always talk about, for those who don't know, there was lots of different kinds of game, but there was a type of gaming back in the 70s, later 80s, called as West Coast. West Coast was more, it was fantasy, but there was some sci-fi mixed in there, and so
It was Gonzo.
It was a little. It was Gonzo. It was way more Gonzo than Midwest gaming. Those guys were war gamers who switched over to role playing games, and so their stuff was a little more, what you call traditional gaming. The West Coast guys were out there. They were just like, yeah, this party has an alien, a robot, a dragon, a Balrog, and then an elf thief. I mean, you'd be like, what the, but so Arduin was kind of a product of that. I mean, David Hargraves did Arduin and just threw everything in the kitchen sink in there, and all the Arduin Grimoire books are incredible. Because it's a rule system that develops as each book comes out. It's kind of like what would have happened if TSR just kept putting out books, like Greyhawk and Blackmore. That's pretty much how what Arduin did. Yeah. Arduin didn't consolidate and say, okay, here's the advanced. Well, they did eventually. They did do a box set eventually, but until then, they just had Arduin Grimoire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they would have, one book would talk about poisons, book would have monsters, but they'd all talk about all kinds of different rules, and they've been reprinted, right, Eric, by our buddies at what's the company? Oh gosh, I can't forget.
Emperor's Choice.
Emperor's Choice. Yeah, they've been reprinted, so well worth getting. Very,
I'm gonna have to look into that.
The ideas are incredible still, and you could still use that stuff, and just really good stuff. So yeah, if Levi's there, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, he and I actually did an Arduin episode. This was back before North Texas, so this was back in June, or back in May actually of 2023. We did an Arduin episode. Elk of Antioch in chat here. I don't know which one of us would be the young guy, because Keelan and I are the same age.
I'm a little crackly.
If it's me who has the geek accent, I can tell you that's not geek. That's North Carolina.
Well, folks who are interested in Arduin, Emperor's Choice for OSR Christmas has donated a complete in-print set of the Arduin. Christmas Day is when we are giving this away. So Christmas Day or the 2 days after, comment on the blog side, tenkarstavern.com. I'm just looking at my list here. It's an Arduin bundle with the hardcover trilogy 1 through 3, Grimoires 4 to 9, and Vaults of the Weaver, which has 7 dungeons in it. All printed material. Wow. It's going to be U.S. only because shipping sucks. But the Arduin guys, Emperor's Choice, has been very generous over the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Great people.
Heck yeah, go them. First off, that's
killer.
killer.
Me something a while back, Eric. I don't know if you got this too. Let me see if I can find it. Vamp while I look here in my piles of goodies.
Also, shout out here in chat to let me get back up to it, because I don't know what name he's using on here.
They sent me the artifacts and monster cards, Eric.
Yeah.
You got that? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love those. Those are really awesome. So.
God, I completely lost it. It's Dynamo Ned, I'm pretty sure.
I got it.
He's one of my players in my home game. So thanks for coming on. I'm glad that you're here watching. And also shout out to Luau Lou, Dandelion Games in chat.
Lou's great.
Lou has also been very supportive of me, and he's been on my show several times. I love that guy.
Tell us about this world you guys are working on. So you mentioned the world, Keelan. Tell us about this world, and are we going to see this in print eventually too? Because that's what I thought was awesome.
Yes, I'm dedicating my life to it. It is what I want to achieve in this life. Since I was a little kid, I've been a crazy dude for a long time. Like, I'm 20 years deep at this point, and with that, I very consistently have dreams of a world in a similar aesthetic to kind of what I've been describing. It's this weird kind of antiquity, cabin-y, horrible place. And over the years, I kind of stitched it together in an RPG world. It actually used to be like the biggest inspiration to like all my different Warhammer armies and stuff growing up, because my background came from miniature wargaming. And, I really decided, like, if I'm going to put all of my life effort into becoming I want to get elite level at art, and I need to have a good why backing it. And what better than to kind of represent these crazy dreams I have in a thematic game space? And I think that the world needs Bellefollow, because there's nothing like it at this time. It's unabashedly dark, gruesome, and the idea of guts and glory, just in the name alone, completely backs it. I want, over the years, it's probably going to start with annual releases geared towards North Texas, because that's, where my train goes every year. But I want to release installments, basically, think B1 and B2 kind of sandwiched into a book, just as far as a rough general concept, but themed over different areas of the world setting. And I finally have all of my lore written. I have my world map complete. I know the world inside and out. I've been gaming in it for 10 years or so now. I've been play testing it more publicly at North Texas for 2 years, I think, at this point. And I've gotten nothing but good reception. And the only thing holding me back was, do I know enough to actually follow through with this? And here we are. I'm ready to kick ass. I am ready to kill. Like, let's get it.
And then for my portion of the contributions here, the world that I'm working within is called Nighthaven, and it is in the vein of Lankmar, in the vein of Invincible Overlord. It is a city-based campaign setting. The big thing about Nighthaven, it sits next to a mountain range, and there's this giant rock formation that covers about half of the city. And so when you look at it from the sea, it looks like there's this giant monster holding a city in its mouth. And in the city, it's, habitable, livable, people live and work there, but it's very much corrupt. It's very much run by this kind of underworld element. But it's essentially a place where there's conspiracies on top of conspiracies on top of conspiracies. So the players will have to navigate this city environment where everyone is kind of competing to see who really holds all the cards in Nighthaven. And within that, there's going to be opportunity for dungeon crawl. There's going to be opportunity for skirmishes when, gang wars erupt into full-blown, street shootouts. It's black powder fantasy, and it's very much influenced by Sin City, gangster films, and a healthy dose of sword and sorcery.
Sounds very noir, very noirish.
It is very noir.
It's super like noir of that almost like pike and shot era kind of reminiscent. There's so much cool stuff going on in Nighthaven, and I feel these are two complementary flavors that kind of come together. And that's another reason, Guts and Glory, we're going for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Dynamo Ned in chat has played in Nighthaven, so he's had a little bit of an experience of the world.
But you guys are going to start off, you're going to start slow and just come up with some adventures first, right? Then you eventually world, you'll pop up with the world and say, hey, here's
I think exploring the world through adventures is my game plan. I don't really know if I'm ever going to do the big world encyclopedia. I don't want to read anyone else's lore dump. Is kind of what it comes down to. I don't want a lore dump. I don't want more rule books. I just want my adventure, and I like modules. I like that kind of element.
Well, I always thought the best sandbox ever written was Ed Greenwood's Gray Box, the very first Forgotten Realms box that came out. Actually, was first edition in '87. When it just basically all the countries had a little paragraph about them. Okay, there's a bunch of red wizards here. They're bad dudes. Stay away. Here's a country ruled by a king that's done this. And that's all it was. It was just it just kind of described everything real basically. And then here's some different magic spell. I mean, just kind of threw everything in there. Here's the gods. It didn't go into depth, and of course later on they had to come out with the Book of Gods. It's like this thick, and Forgotten Realms just got kind of way over the top, indulgent. In terms of we're gonna really get way too much there. But the first release ever was awesome because it just kind of skimmed everything. It just gave you a setting. That's what you wanted.
That sounds very handy.
Yeah, that just gives you. I mean, there was one area that was like the Shire, kind of the Dale lands, I guess. That was kind of like, so it had all these different areas you could pick wherever you wanted to go to, and there wasn't a lot of detail about it. It just was enough to get your imagination going,
Yeah.
I'm going to look more into this. This sounds like it could be a really good inspiration for me, and I don't have a copy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Lycarius here in chat.
I think that, I mean, really, honestly.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Look. No, I was going to say a lot of people here are popping up and saying the first Forgotten Realms was awesome. It was. It was different than what came afterwards because they didn't know what they were doing really. They're just putting out Ed Greenwood's world that he worked on, and then of course once it became super popular and then the novels started taking off, like, oh, we've got to really get in depth here and really milk this cow for all it's worth. And unfortunately that's when it started getting really over the top, but the first releases were really great, just very bare bones and very, very good settings.
I'm gonna check that out. That sounds much more like something I'd be interested in creating later down the line.
Mike will tell you what, I don't have a gray box. Those are getting hard to find, Bob. Those gray boxes are tough. The 2E box is easier to find, but man, the 2E boxes, of course, it's this big. It's got 18 books in it, and this that. Yeah, no, it's the stick with the first one, which was actually, like I said, released for first edition because it was released in '87 before second edition came out, and that was what they were pivoting to after they got rid of Gary. Like, okay, we need a new world. We don't want to do stuff in Greyhawk anymore. Hey, this guy Ed Greenwood, he's been writing letters to Dragon for like years and writing articles. What's he got going? And apparently, then he sent like this big giant box. He's to the guys there. Here's what I got. And they're like, holy shit! Like, okay, well, we'll put out part of this. We can't use all this. And it was great. It was. I mean, it's very inspirational. When it came out, we immediately switched over from Greyhawk to there because we're like, this world's pretty cool.
Wow.
It's different. Yeah. It's different. It gives you just enough information that where you're like, okay, this is just what I need. Just enough gods to each god had only a paragraph written about them. Here's the bad guys. Here's the good guys. Here's this and that. There were some great bad guys. The Zentarum, had a whole nation of bad dudes. The Redwoods, the Thay were bad guys. I mean, it was great.
This sounds like great study material. Heck yeah. I'm definitely going to be looking into this.
There's a real big city, Waterdeep's there, which is there's a whole thing about Waterdeep. It's a big giant city. And then the original Grey Box was 2 adventures that came with it too. It's like, hey, kind of here's how adventures run in Forgotten Realms. So
what else do you really need on top of that?
Well,
really,
go back to Slack Aries' comment. Getting you a one-shot in Nighthaven at the con and seeing the sewer guard's dedication to his duty was up there with blowing up Skeeter's world. So there's more to this. And I need to know what's more to this.
How do we blow up Skeeter's world? Yes.
So I was not involved in blowing up Skeeter's world. The stupidest thing I've done in a Skeeter Green game is try to kill Galactus, but which I think everyone has done at one point. Did you try to
backstab it? Did you try to backstab him? Was that it? Or
no, unfortunately, I was a warrior, so I just went straight for I'm going to hack at your hamstring until you fall down. But what this guy's getting at is there's this group in Nighthaven that's part of the guard called the Rat Catchers, and their whole thing is like these are the guys who have routinely been cited for being overzealous in their duty. Like these are the kind of guys who will beat someone for jaywalking, and so it's like, okay, we can't keep you with the general population. You're too savage for that. We're going to stick you down in the sewer, and your job is to kill any monsters that come through here. And if any monsters show up and like break through here, we better find your corpse in the sewer. Otherwise, we're going to execute you. And so it kind of gets at what my philosophy approaching Nighthaven is with my supplements, I'm going to be outlining regions of the city and factions within the city so that, and I'm also going to include an adventure that utilizes both of those things. But my main goal is, even if you don't want to use my city, even if you don't want to use Nighthaven, I want to give people a framework for their cities. You may not want to use my guard, but your city has a guard in it. So here is an example of how a guard would operate in a fantasy city. You may not like my concept of my city's gates. Here is here's a way to run a city gate, though, because your city has gates. So it's giving people tools to use in their own setting, even if they don't necessarily care for my lore or want to run strictly within the bounds of Nighthaven. That's what I'm looking to do, and that's also my adventures are leaning more towards giving the players the option to interact with this environment, interact with the factions within it, and kind of build up their power base in Nighthaven. Because my goal for a Nighthaven campaign is the players will ultimately be running the city at some point.
Oh, I like that.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I love the guard. That is a great setup for a campaign. I think. Hey, you guys are all crazy guards, and now here you guys are on sewer watch. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that is awesome, man. I can think of about a dozen adventures right now, just popping that out. And of course it's dangerous because you're in the sewer. God knows what you're going to run into. So even though you start out low level too. I'd have them start out like first level, and they're in the sewer like in the old grizzled veterans. Like, yeah, you got alligators as big as as big as a horse down here. You got like, what is an alligator? Oh man! And so it's going to be
it's great awesome. Because the party is already together. You don't have to make an excuse for it.
There you go. Yeah. Well,
you're giving them an obligation. Yeah. It's their job. They're probably taking an oath or something like that. So you're also doing away with what the problem used to have a lot of the original old school gaming was the jackass that wanted to be the I'm playing my alignment. I'm lawful evil. You do away with that when you put them all in a position like the watch or the guard. It really does that pretty well. I like that.
I would definitely steal from the party, man. That's what my thief would do. I don't want to do it. My thief wants to do it. Yeah.
Nothing personal.
What Dynamo Ned is talking about here is in my home campaign, the first session, one of the players walked up to a gangster in a bar and smashed a mug over his face.
Of course.
But he didn't, at that point, the bar was filled with that gang. So instead of following through and killing the guy, they just kind of cut and run. And so this guy survives getting hit in the face with a mug, and I made him be horribly disfigured by this mug, and he gets this demeaning nickname of Mugface, and he is now solely, because he got punked in this bar, he's not going to let anyone punk him again, and now he's rising through the ranks of his gang. And the players are having to deal with this vengeful enemy that they left alive, now trying to kill them. So,
and I love it. I love working with you on this kind of stuff because me and Ryan are both super interested in focusing heavily on multi-faction gameplay, and I think just working with someone with a similar mindset on that really forwards both of us in that direction. Really helps unify two different worlds kind of coming together under one design philosophy.
Definitely.
Eric, it's 8:00. Do you want to do your drawing right now?
I do. I'm just trying. There we go.
It's a holiday too.
All right. I just had to set it up.
Claus got a toy.
And the horns go on.
Okay.
So what are we giving away here first, Eric?
All right. Well, the first thing we are giving away is a PDF. Oh, we got the horns going. God damn it, Mike. Is from the Dice Bros. Okay, so that is Thaddeus and Erwin from North Texas. We have Wizard Funk, 3 issues in PDF. And then we have something else from them that they will ship anywhere in the world. But we'll get to that. So first one's first. I am going to start collecting comments. Good. We got 20 comments that are in.
Oh wow.
So
there we go.
This is like a zine, right? The Dragon Funk or whatever. Or...
Great.
Yes, it's a zine. Yes.
I think
so for the zine, Wizard Funk.
Wizard Funk. That's it. Yeah.
Wizard Funk. It's PDF, so it goes anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world, or out of the world, or Planescape.
Anon.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hold on, I'm going to be professional and make it. All right, an entry in my notes there. Okay.
Confetti to throw everywhere.
Hello. So it comes up. Turn on.
Now, if only we knew who you
turn
were.
On the super effects anymore. I don't know what the hell's happening.
Your name is Anon. We don't know you.
Drawing again, this time for OSR sticker and a Barrel Maze patch. Again from Thaddeus.
Ooh.
Anywhere in the world. RPG Grandma, you're going to get yourself an OSR
Yes,
sticker
there you go.
and a Barrel Maze patch. It's an actual
I love those Barrel Maze patches.
That's from Greg. Greg's a huge patch fan. And
Yeah,
you see him wear his jacket. He's got this jacket that's covered with patches. It's awesome.
All right.
The Gillespie battle vest is legendary.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So here, I'm gonna change the banner real quick just to remind people what you got to do. You got to email me. Put OSR Christmas in the subject when you email me, so it actually flags and sticks out, because God knows I am not the organized person that Bad Mike is. Okay. Next up, I know it's scary when I say that. Next up, James Mishler. James Mishler.
Oh, good stuff. That's gonna be
Good stuff. He's been in the community for ages. He has 12 sets of 12 PDFs. We're giving away one set. 12 PDFs of James's releases for Shadow Dark, as well as the Isle of Eldasor for Labyrinth Lord. That's in PDF.
I want to win this. Can I win?
I don't know. Did you comment?
Comment quick.
Yeah, you did. You did comment, you schmuck.
But my name's not popping up. You cut
Ryan, we were slow on it. We should have been in there.
Oh man.
Don.
There you go, Donald.
Don.
I believed in you from the start.
Yep.
Don can send me a bootleg copy of that. So.
Yeah. Don knows how to contact me. All right. From On the Tabletop. It's a copy of Holmes and Clark, which is one of the OSR Heartbreakers, along with some other digital goodies, including an adventure I believe not released elsewhere. Let's see who gets that, and I'm saving the best for last. And when I say the best, you'll understand what I'm saying. James Eck.
James 1. Now, what was this? This was a Holmes and Clark.
Yes, bundle.
Is it digital?
It's a digital bundle.
Okay. Oh, that goes.
All right. So the following is digital. However, it's from BRW Games. BRW Games is the Greyhawk Grognard. It is in this bundle, and he has another bundle I'll be giving away at a later point. In this bundle, it's the Book of Lost Lore, the Book of Lost Beasts, and the Book of Lost Tables. Three PDFs.
Awesome.
Three PDFs from the Greyhawk Grognard.
It's too much.
What a killer bundle.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're buying your love, folks. We're absolutely buying your love.
Vicarious. There you go.
Vicarious. Oh, actually, and last and probably least is from me. I am donating a $10 drive-through RPG gift certificate. Ships anywhere in the world, like everything else here.
Anywhere.
Let's see who is
a $10 gift certificate.
Who gets the $10 gift certificate? I will laugh my ass off. Oh no, okay.
You did it.
The 5K. That's right, the K5K.
K5K.
All right, so listen,
you can
email
get
me
for $10. You can get some
email me. This stuff might not get out until Saturday, like late Friday, Saturday. I got stuff going on tomorrow to occupy my whole day. So, but give it, email me, and we will get this stuff out prior to Christmas Eve, hopefully by Friday or Saturday. All right, folks.
Let me a little sneak preview. Next week will be our last show of the year, and Eric and I have been all kinds of different directions for our last show of the year. But this year, we're going to we invite a whole bunch of people, so we're going to have pretty much, I think, every host of the show, including those
Glenn will be joining us. I confirmed Glenn today.
It's gonna be,
I believe Rob Conley.
It's going to be a lot of voices. Yep.
I'm excited.
And
it's going to be a mess.
It's going to be a huge mess. Also, on New Year's Eve, there's going to be a special Gamers Health just to hang out with some of our frequent community people. That's going to be kicking off probably around 11:30 Eastern, because we want to cover at least the Eastern New Year's Eve and the Central New Year's Eve. And on top of that, we will be launching the Gamers Health online website, which will be including a forum and helpful links. It's being put together by Wizard Tower Games, Don Samora. Don's done an amazing job. I got a sneak preview today. Holy shit. Exciting times. I said in yesterday's video, we got new stuff happening here at the tavern. this wasn't even part of that announcement, but it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot. The Gamers Health stuff we do because it's useful stuff for the community and it's about the community. But we got other stuff for the gaming side that's going to be happening, and I'm looking forward to doing that stuff too. So,
very cool.
Thank you too for doing everything you do for the community.
Yeah.
I'm always looking forward to what you guys do. So thank you.
well, you can't shut Mike and I up. That's the only problem.
There's a mute button.
Yeah,
It doesn't work.
Forget about it.
By the way, I'm going to try to pop on with you guys New Year's Eve. So
We'd love it, man.
Yeah. Speaking of health, I have shitty health, so I can pop on and tell you everything.
Oh yeah, your grandfathered in, Mike. You can always come on. You can always join us.
I can hear about my goiter. No, I don't have a goiter. That's the one thing I don't have. I have everything else, but no goiter. No, not a goiter. So
Some silver linings.
Yeah. I'll put on my best Fauci fake voice for the episode.
You do a pretty good impression. I will say that. There's a certain quality that it's hard to nail.
Yep.
You have to get that old man energy in, and we're not quite that old yet. You got to get the, Mike. I wake out like 7 times a week in 5-minute intervals twice a day because I find that's the optimal point for me to fight off the illnesses that I fight off. And I fight them off well, especially now that I'm no longer a government employee and I'm making better money.
Is he really, though? He might, I don't know.
Where else can you put your trust?
Yeah, oh, God. Oh, totally off topic. When I saw that the FDA has approved a drug for large dogs. This drug for large dogs is to give them an extended lifespan. Because large dogs don't live as long as small dogs. And this is going to increase their lifespan. I think I heard a number like 30 or 40%. And all I can think of is that's where we are today. In 10 years, you can damn well bet we're going to see a drug like that for humans. We won't be able to afford it. It's not going to be covered by your insurance.
Or a dog that lives 40 years. Let's see on the
a dog that lives 40 years.
Like, oh my God, I wanted to get a new dog and this dog won't die. I mean, I love my dog, but he's 40 freaking years old. Oh my God. He's in a cart. He's driving around a little medical cart.
It's like, have you guys ever seen the Goldbergs?
Oh, yes.
When the principal buys a parrot and he goes, "Did you know that they live for 40 years?"
Oh God, yes. Oh, don't buy a real turtle. A turtle could live for ever.
My vet has one of those turtles that lives 100 years, and she got it when it was little, and she's had it about 10 years now, and she has to make plans for when she dies because the turtle's going to outlive her. I mean, it's only 10 years old. It's going to live to be 100. And she's already 40 or whatever, so. She's got to look ahead for her turtle. It's like having
here's a piece of vial of ooze for after I die. Take care of the turtle.
She's already got like a little greenhouse in her backyard because it's gotta it can't get too cold, and I didn't know this when they're big. They don't really hibernate the same because they can't dig a hole. They're just they're giant, and so they have to they just get a little lethargic and sleep all the time. But you have to have a place. I mean, it's gigantic commitment. Yeah, I hear you. I know I do. When it gets cold, I just want to burrow under the blankets. So speaking of cold, Keelan, you're from Alaska. So what is that like? I mean, because I always hear Alaska's very sparsely populated. So
it is. It can be. I live in kind of a rural suburb of a town called Ketchikan. So Alaska is kind of shaped like that. I'm down here fairly close to Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. It's closer to me. Seattle's closer than like the capital of Juneau. But with that, it is a fairly remote island. I live in kind of an island chain. The island I'm on is called Revillagigedo. I was running uphill like a month ago and a black bear fell out of a tree, and that was terrifying. Alaska's a wild place. I had to shoo the deer off of my property just last night. I kind of have a cabin home thing off on a mountain top kind of area. No neighbors in view aside from like far across the street way down. It's a rural living lifestyle, but I grew up in area like this, so I'm used to actually going out hiking, adventuring, hunting, that kind of stuff. I'm a very outdoorsy guy in all reality, as much as I look like a scrawny little punk. Like I call myself a wannabe eccentric woodsman.
Nice.
So when you go out, do you like carry a gun or so? I mean, because I always heard, guns not
I
used against a bear, right? If a bear comes, you just run because if you shoot it, just pisses it off.
Thankfully,
right?
we only have Doll black bear here on the island I live on, so they're just giant, angry raccoon kind of creatures. I definitely am always packing whenever I'm off on long distance hikes or that kind of thing. Because if you think about how mountain chains go, there's always valleys, and my backyard, like literally out this window I'm right next to here, is about 8 hexes worth of no one. There's no one there in that direction.
That's crazy.
It's mountain, swamp, mountain, swamp is kind of how that hex tile would go. Yeah, so I live in muskegs is pretty much the main thing surrounding me, but I never go anywhere without my 44 lever. I'm an Alaskan dude. I do a lot of mountain running though, and that it's a lot harder to pack firearms, so I kind of am just running around in cargo shorts with like a hunting knife. I look normal and sane.
You look fine in Texas or Alaska with that. That's probably
I love Texas. It's like, Alaska with money. This place is great. And heat? What? I love it there.
And barbecue. Yeah, you got barbecue. And
we don't have a lot of good barbecue here. Great fish. Salmon capital of the world is what Ketchikan, my hometown's known for. Lot of seafood, but beyond that.
Interesting. That's so cool that we're so glad you make it to North Texas every year from such a remote locale. It's just, it's just such a, we have some people. We have Karen Johnson comes from the UK every year, which is cool, and then Jeff Emery comes from Canada. But yeah, you and coming from Alaska, you and James is pretty wild. I mean, that's kind of cool.
There's nowhere else you can find something like North Texas. It's the tightest conglomeration of industry professionals who I adore, love, and want to learn from. These are my mentors. These are my friends. And I don't know, it's a true community that has something special I've seen nowhere else. There's lots of great cons going around, but North Texas is something different. I swear to that. I'm going till con runs down to the ground or whatever else happens. Like, you're not getting rid of me unless I'm booted.
No, absolutely. And that's kind of what we started the con for, is to have everybody come and hang out and just be kind of a hangout. Plus, you're going to game.
I have no confirmation, but there's might be more Alaskans of my ilk coming this year.
Ooh.
We'll see. We'll see. I have my entire home table is very interested. They've been listening to my reports every time I go, and so we might get a little Alaskan crew rolling on down.
Is that a straight flight? Is that a straight flight? You have a stop
Seattle first, no matter where you're going. Always stop at SeaTac.
Okay.
Yep.
Go to SeaTac, and then from SeaTac it's straight. Yeah, well, that's
exactly
awesome.
So.
That is a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll take them all. I mean, it's wild because you come from Alaska and then you roll into Texas. It's 100 degrees. I mean, it hasn't been the last few years, but typically that time of year we've had some hot weather, but it hasn't been too bad the last few years.
I keep myself on such a pretty tight, good schedule for the most part, and I always start out my mornings with a big old long run, and I was going to do that throughout North Texas, and I decided one lap walking around the building's enough. Like, I was going to pass out at 88 degrees. Like, I feel like I'm a vampire larper.
Well, the thing about specifically the Westin is, even though it is 100 degrees in Texas, it's Alaska temperature inside the Westin at all times.
I'm so comfortable in shorts and a tank top there. I love it.
Yeah, we fixed it a little bit this year. So Ryan's probably talking about 2 years ago. We had did you get stuck in the ballroom 2 years ago? Did you, Ryan? Because we had an issue 2 years ago. The thermostat broke, and as hot as it was outside, you walk in that ballroom, it was sub 60 degrees.
Yeah,
and people in there were wearing coats and jackets, and they said, we can't fix it. It's broken. Mm-hmm. It's stuck, because we're trying to fix it. Like, okay, well, we have it up to 80 degrees, and it just still says 60. Like, yeah, there's something wrong with it. It's broken. I'm like, Oh dear God!
Y'all are
it
wild.
was
That's
bad.
a nice day for me.
It's too cold.
That's a
It was
nice
so
day.
cold. It was so cold in there.
Hmm.
I felt so sorry for the vendors that were stuck in there because it was bad.
Yeah, I was wearing long sleeves during a game in the dealer's room, and I was just like, it's June in Texas. I shouldn't be wearing long sleeves.
Well, at least they do keep. I mean, the alternative is you would melt, which would be
It's true.
horrific because it gets very hot. It gets very miserably hot. So
Gamer funk typically rises with temperature.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll just say it.
yeah, we have a hard enough time with. No, actually, we're pretty. The guys that come to our convention are
You guys
pretty.
are good.
They're shower oriented, and
Yeah.
it's usually the bigger cons because when you add more gamers to the mix, you're always going to get that guy that doesn't think he has to take a shower every day because he thinks it's good, and he might wear the same shirt 2 or 3 times because it looks a cool shirt, and that's when you get the problems. Is when you get the bigger cons.
If I can lay down the controversial card here, it's the Magic players. There aren't any Magic
not gonna
players at North
disagree.
Texas. But when
I'm
you
not gonna
add
disagree.
MTG players to any convention, your level of stank will go drastically up. That's just
So-
science.
I ride with you.
I'm going to share with you, Ryan. I'm sharing with you here is that I had a friend, and we talked about the same thing. And he said, "Have you ever been to a Magic the Gathering convention?" I said, "No." He goes, "I'm going to let you in on a secret. It smells like ass there." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "It smells like ass. That's what a Magic the Gathering convention smells like." It's like, you are kidding me.
You're
It's
not
like, "No."
wrong. Like,
So-
even at
so
a
it's
local
been
game
confirmed.
store, it's true.
It's confirmed, Ryan, by another
Yeah.
friend of mine that yes, it's bad.
One of the
What it is.
funniest things I remember, and this was 10 years ago, someone, this was back when Reddit was still fun to go on, someone posted a picture of themselves at a Magic the Gathering tournament where they were posing for pictures next to ass cracks.
I've seen that series. It's sad and hilarious at the same time because this isn't even plumber's crack. This is
Yeah.
like your pants are off. I
I'd
mean,
be
basically you
paying
see
for
the
plumber's
entire
crack at
ass.
that point.
Oh
Yeah.
my god! These are, look for the butt crack photos. Or don't look for it. You might not want to see it.
Or
But
just
it's
go to the
pretty-
midnight auction for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. You want to see my brother's
Totally
butt
different
crack.
thing, by the
Yeah.
way, than Midnight Auction.
Come see my brother in a Speedo. That's not a good advertisement for our con.
That's
but
why
that-
I go to the con.
that's what it is. That's what the midnight auction is at this point. It's my
Mhm.
brother in a
I
Speedo.
love the midnight auction.
So-
There's nothing like it. Last year's blew the roof with that. The guest features from getting someone like Satine and Jameson. I mean, man, you
So
don't
to
get
speak-
better than
so
that.
to speak. So to speak. We had Satine-
I saw
Satine
it in the
Jameson.
flesh. They were there.
Yeah, you didn't see him. That's true. You saw 2 people calling themselves Jameson and
I
Satine.
didn't have my glasses. Same difference.
You also saw a walking, talking crab. So can you really trust your senses at this point?
I just thought
saw-
that was me. Okay, cool.
No, there was a crab also. There was a man in a crab suit.
Apparently
I've
it has-
worn that crab suit. I don't think
Yeah.
it's been cleaned since before I wore it. So
I pray it never gets cleaned.
Kurt, wash the suit next year. Oh boy. Well,
Oh,
so
my God.
since we got you guys here and you guys are so awesome and talkative, we are going to talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room here, which is the MCDM system.
Oh,
Because we kind of I ranted last week. I went on one of my kick-ass rants because I had not heard of this, and Eric sprung this on me, and I'm reading it going, "You've got to be effing kidding me!" And so so then I've had time to calm down, and I'm like, okay, I've read about it a little bit. Okay, I know I see what they're trying to do here, whatever. But I don't know.
Just to
So
share it for
what is
people.
your what's your take on this? You guys can go either or whatever. Just tell me your take on this.
How spicy a
My
take.
take was that my take was super spicy because I just thought this was an abomination. But but see, here's my whole thing is I wish them success because I wish any third party success because WotC has crapped the bed so badly at this point that anybody else making money, I'm like thumbs up. Go for it. I want you to prove to people that there is money out there. and people just aren't giving it to WotC because they don't like WotC. They're giving $1.3 million to Shadow Art. They're giving $1.3 million to Dolmenwood. They're giving money to Matt Colville. I mean, so I like it when they give other people money. It's just that this is not the type of game I would ever play under any circumstances. I would play 5e before this. So, but I don't know. I don't know how much you guys know about this. Are you guys familiar with what's going on with this?
Not a lot. I know a bit. It is, from my understanding, antithetical to everything I am trying to do with my gaming career.
Yes.
It's kind of what it boils down to. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the YouTube channel. A lot of great, helpful advice, cool stuff. Game's probably going to blow and get forgotten. Realistically, it has none of the selling points I am looking for in a game. I wish them well.
It's not written. It's not even written. And their lead time is 1.5 years, which, by the way, I told Eric, I still have a bet. It's going to be 2 years because everything's delayed. So we're talking 2 years from right now. How many people are still interested in the game they kickstarted 2 years later? I had already forgotten about Memorial Tomb after a year, and I get it 7 years later, like, I never thought I was going to get this.
Very patiently for like 5 years for Warhammer the Old World. If you have enough hype for something I care about, I will follow you for a decade waiting. If you need time to get it perfect, do whatever you want to do. Groovy. This isn't that for me, though.
Firstly, what I want to call out here, why don't you have a name for it? Naming an art, it's literally fantasy noun, or fantasy verb, fantasy noun. Like that. That's all you have to do to name an RPG system. And you're Mr. Creativity, Matt Colville, over here dishing out all kinds of advice on YouTube. You can't even name your own goddamn book.
Don't hold back. Keep that. All right. Don't hold back. But I love it.
I mean, like, for me, Matt Colville, and I have enjoyed his advice in the past. I feel like his videos have kind of gotten progressively worse. And there was this kind of nadir where he recommended having portions of your session where you cut away from the players and literally describe to them the villains meeting in their evil villain boardroom, like on an episode of Power Rangers. He's like, this is something you should be doing in your game. And I'm just like, no, not at all.
Well, then that's because it's all about the DM at that point, right?
Yeah.
That's all about the DM. You all listen to me talk for the next 10 minutes. You get a little backstory. I wrote this. It's important because I wrote it. So fucking pay attention. There will be a quiz at the end of this, and there's hints that you need to know that I'm going to be dropping that if you miss out on, you're going to die.
But like the thing that I'm seeing with this, I know Matt Colville knows old school games. I know he enjoys or has enjoyed playing them in the past. This seems like the opposite of what we've been discussing as far as, making the game that you want to play. I think Matt Colville is trying to make the game that he thinks the RPG market wants to play. And it's ringing very hollow. It feels like a cash grab. It's got cash grab written all over it.
Well, and plus, real quick, plus, Ryan, when you make the game that other people want, people are fickle. They change. Yeah. If you're making a game now for what you think people want now, this has got a 2-year lead time. It could all change by that. I mean, we've gone from not crunchy to super crunchy to not. I mean, back forth. You don't know what's the game is. People are going to want is in 2 years, and so how could you make?
I'd almost argue TSR games are timeless.
Well, the originals are timeless. Now, they are. Now he goes about, and it's an open secret. He loves 4E, so the system that pretty much every D&D player, except for like Zach Smith, hated was 4E because it made everybody a superhero from the start. Is what he is designing his game around, which, as he says, at level 1, you're already a hero, maybe even locally famous. So this gives you, it takes that 5e idea of well, you're way better than average when you're starting out, to, no, you're already a hero. So if I'm already a hero, then what am I pushing forward to? I got to be a superhero. I got to be whatever. And I like the way he says it makes building adventures and fighting monsters fun. I've always had fun doing both of that.
Yeah.
Shit.
Right? Like, isn't that the game?
Mhm.
And of course, none of those sacred cows from the 70s. It's again a more straightforward and fun way. And then when he talks about what it is and what it isn't about dungeon crawling. And this is where I've said in the past on another video, this is where he kind of tosses that little, and I know there are people go, he loves Shadow Dark. You don't track torches or rations or worry about running out of light. Well, you just described Shadow Dark, and if you want to call it Shadow Dark shtick, right? Is the torchlight. That's the whole thing. Well, you just said you don't do that. You plunge heedless of danger into a dark and haunted forest. But there's no exploration, no hexes to explore.
Barf.
By focusing on core fantasy of epic heroes fighting monsters and tyranny, we can deliver a better experience for your friends and your table. By the way, when they say tyranny, I will bet dollars to donuts, and I'm a cop. I can do that. I will bet you that they will never use slavery as part of the setting, because there's tyranny, but you can't have slavery, but you can fight the big monsters. But we're not going to run that kind of campaign with this rule set because it's the new generation.
And you know what? So are we, and this is antithetical to what we want. This game looks like it sucks, and I'll say that first and foremost. I don't want your morality clause. I don't want to be coddled. I want a game that's a good game and true to the genre. Like this, it has nothing for me.
Yeah, this is something I actually really want to give Wonky props for. When you see people talk about tyranny and fighting evil in role-playing games, but they always shy away from the things that truly are disturbing and evil, and the things that you actually would want to fight back against, because I guess they don't want to offend anybody, or whatever it is that's keeping them. Maybe they don't fully understand the depths of depravity. One of the things that Wonky has really been working on in Bellafallo is this idea that evil is very present and very visceral and very kind of like obvious and in your face in how disgusting it is. It's truly
disturbing.
It's something that revolts not just your character, but you, the player, and then you're now going to like cut off that thing's head and rip its guts out because it's disgusting to you.
Don't hand over heroism easily. I will always be able to out-murder hobo players. Come play that game with me. Let's see how dark we can make the world. Or you can be a torch by your own choice and volition. I think being a good guy has to be a conscious choice, even within the, presentations of a role-playing game. It's important.
Well, it's kind of like being told, you are fighting the evil henchman, as opposed to you come across three humans. They've got some orc captives which they appear to have been torturing.
Yeah.
You could smell blood and soiled pants at this point. What do you do?
Something leaking down.
Yeah, I could say that they're evil henchmen, and it's like, or I could describe it now. Again, I don't play with X cards, and I apologize for anybody who's an X card aficionado.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah. Oh, I can't stand spiders.
Oh.
Are you talking about spiders? I play my X card. Take away the spiders. Fauci doesn't like spiders. They don't fit well in my diet. I can't have them. There's too much carbs in a spider. I can't have them. I like a low spider diet.
I actually have like a slogan for Bellafallo in that backbone required, not for everyone. This isn't a game I'm showing my grandma or my little sister. It's not made for them. This is for people that want something real gritty, and you know, you can sink your teeth into.
Yep.
I'm done playing around the coddle culture.
Yeah.
Look at the tropes of you know, fantasy and okay, science fiction. Let's say science fiction. Why is Darth Vader such a cool character? Because the motherfucker blew up a whole planet. I mean, he didn't just murder 100 people or 1,000,000. He murdered billions just to make a point to the princess. Like, hey, your family's on the planet. I'm going to blow the whole freaking planet up. Oh, I'm going to test my Death Star at the same time. I mean, this dude was evil, and you're like, holy crap. You know, and I mean, that's he made such a great villain because you wanted to see this guy defeated. Of course, you know, they do that. You know, at the end, there's a redemption arc, which is awesome too. But I mean, that's how you have a great story. Is you have, you know, what's so great about the Lord of the Rings is because Sauron's undefeatable. I mean, he's, you know, I mean, you really, they have no hope, and they're talking about like, you know, what are we gonna do? We got to get this ring to the most evil place on the planet. You know, I mean, how can we do it? And just no hope. But I mean, this guy, you know, he's evil too, and that's how you have great conflict. You don't have great conflict when you don't have great foes to fight against, and especially if those foes are evil. And the thing that bothers me about stuff like this is that, you know, I understand that people get triggered by stuff, but isn't that their responsibility also? I mean, it's my responsibility. Okay, so I'm a DM. One thing my group and I, we talk about, we do not do anything sexual in our games because it's all dudes. I'm not playing the opposite number they do.
Oh, but you prefer sexy as a barmaid, Mike.
There is a fade to black at that point. I am not role playing that. Okay, I just don't dig it, and I would never do that. And we have never in 40 years of playing ever done anything like sexual assaults or anything. We just don't talk about it. It's just not a comfortable subject, right? So we don't talk about that stuff, you know, because it's just something that, you know, doesn't really need to be in a role-playing game. But, you know, if you're in a world, like you say, and there's evil things there, you got to assume that, you know, you're going to run into things that are bad. And if you're a player, you have a responsibility also to say, look, do I want to play this game that might bring up things that are going to upset me? You know, if those, you know, because I know some people, and I've talked to people like this, perfectly wonderful people I like and love, that will not play in games where animals are hurt. And I understand that because they love animals.
Sure.
But, I mean, the dog might get hit by an arrow and killed. I'm sorry, you know. I'm gonna roll. You know, there's 7 characters and they have a dog. I'm gonna roll an 8-sided dice. If the dice comes up 8, that's your dog. And then when I roll and they get an arrow in the head, I don't want you to cry and walk out.
You muted yourself, Mike. I think
only for like 2 seconds.
Okay. No,
he's still muted. You're still muted, Mike.
Muted. Can't hear you.
Through the sexual assault in the middle of the freaking adventure like an idiot.
There we go.
There we go.
He had a YouTube channel. Maybe Ryan knows who that is. And
I know you're talking about. I can't remember the name, but yeah.
For a while, and then he kind of dropped off the map after that happened. So.
Well, it was, and it was making somebody an unwilling participant in a sexual assault.
I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, you're not witnessing it; you are part of it. Here, role play me sexually assaulting you.
Fun.
Like, kind of with this. While we're on this subject, one of the things that's been very foundational in Wonky and I's relationship is a mutual love for Solomon Kane.
Oh, Solomon Kane is great. That is.
It's one of my faves.
And like as a point of illustration here, we've all read Red Shadows, right? The first Solomon Kane story.
Yeah.
How do we know that Lelou is the bad guy?
Now I'm trying to remember the actual story, which I read when I bought the Solomon Kane RPG from Pinnacle, because I was like, this looks cool.
We know that Lelou is the bad guy because we see him torture and kill a woman.
First thing.
And how do we know that Solomon Kane is the good guy? Because he chases this man from France to Africa to kill him for it.
God, that's such a good story.
Well, that is being a hero, right?
Yeah.
You don't start your character as a hero that can travel the world trying to follow and destroy evil. You work your way up to it. You know, you don't. if at first level you were already a hero, then what is your end goal? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get that, and it can play fine. I think that the MCDM game will be a great con game. I think people will enjoy playing it at cons because you don't need a big storyline going on. You don't need a lot of this stuff that in a campaign that you want, which is character advancement. You start off a little weaker, you get a bit stronger, but I don't see it really. It's hitting the mark right now because he brings in a great social media presence,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
he could be selling Tiddlywinks the RPG, and he'd be doing the numbers he's doing now, or at least
Yeah.
close to it, which is
It's
not
true.
much more than what he's offering because he doesn't have
Honestly,
a game.
too, I'm personally in a weird spot because I'm just kind of past and over new rule books and new editions of everything being re-released. Even since I was a kid, being a Warhammer kid, that really burned me out early.
Yep.
But at this point in time, my wife, who's also a very avid, devout gamer, we decided that Dragon Slayer is probably going to be the last rulebook we ever buy. I'm not interested in more new things. I'm interested in exploring the options we have because it's a firmly rooted, concrete foundation of gaming. I really don't need MCDM to do anything that my games don't already provide. It's
Yep.
like, why are you even doing this if not just milking the cow?
Mhm.
Well,
Well, I
that's a
mean,
discussion.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I lost
No,
my
go
sound
ahead.
for a while, guys, but I am even more mess ups here. Wonky, I feel for you. Me and technology are like,
Dude, we're lost.
so, but that's the discussion among the old school lot is how many old school systems do we need? And I think it's a valid discussion because I'm with you. I mean, I'm really excited to see Greg Leslie's Dragon Slayer. There's a couple others I'm really excited about, but what's the sustainability?
It's a
Of
legacy left in gravel, not stone. It's hard to draw new people into the OSR, and that's one of the main reasons we're doing Guts and Glory. I was kind of trying to avoid this, but it's true, is that it's so hard without a concrete central banner to point towards. We have the most legendary game designers in the entire world working in one industry, and everyone's doing their own little cobblestone thing, and there's nothing to band behind and up against, and it is
Yep.
a legacy in tatters, and that is why I cannot be OSR by name, is because I'm not there for the retro aesthetic of the vibe. I wasn't there throughout those years, and there's not a mountain to build on.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
hard to say, but
I don't remember the 80s. I'm sorry.
I wish I didn't. I was in clubbing, so there was a lot of clubs.
right.
It got ugly. So yeah. No, but yeah, yeah, and I think, like I said, I think it's perfectly valid for people at some point to say, okay, enough. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got all this stuff now. As time goes on, some stuff will fall by the wayside. I mean, examples maybe Labyrinth Lore. Labyrinth Lore really hasn't been updated in a decade, and I don't know what's going on with that at all. But maybe that's one of the ones that kind of falls by the wayside. Then something else jumps up. But
I
you
bet it
still have
will.
Swords and Wizardry around. You've got
Yes.
a lot of the stuff is basic fantasy role playing by Chris Donovan's really good, but he doesn't really push it too much. I mean, he's not it's not a huge thing. People talk about it, but it's not huge. Now we've got the new stuff. OSC is huge now. Shadow Dark's huge. I guess the whatever Wolfgang Barr is doing is going to be big. But
Can
yeah,
I just throw out Axe Imperial Imprint
Axe
as
is
my
great,
in-game
good stuff.
RPG?
But
Uh-huh.
and of course you have Lamentations, which is its own thing too.
Yeah.
But at what point do people? I see people all the time on forums go, I want to play this. What should I play? And they get 5 different answers. I like basic D&D. What should I play? Oh, go. You can't go wrong with Labyrinth Lord. Oh wait, no. You want to play basic fantasy role playing? There, no. You got to get OSC. And so it does get confusing for somebody trying to get into the OSR. They know there's these old school systems or old school retro clones.
It feels like jumping into a 10-way schism. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to look. And I don't know why I'd choose one over the other without doing 500 hours of reading to figure that out.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. It's not accessible as it is.
No,
and then there's Morkborg and stuff that's now
I think
OSR.
it is going to be interesting to see people move away, like you said. So.
Yeah, my whole issue with it is, and this might actually upset people, me saying this, but how do we build a movement when we can't agree what the R stands for?
Oh yeah,
it's true.
We just decide that it's Ryan, and then we can move on.
Blue DM. I tried to make a matrix of OSR type games. Oh, we got the echo. Mike, is this you?
We're gonna have to echo a little bit because my headphones I'm having a problem. Sorry.
Okay.
Is it bad? Or is it?
It's pretty
tolerable.
It's tolerable. Okay, yeah. Because I'm gonna have to use my computer. Unfortunately, guys. Sorry, my headphones are crapping out on me. Did not charge them enough. Sorry.
The echo is here, and we can only assume that the bunny men will be soon behind them.
Oh, that's 80s. Now there's the 80s right there, brother.
See?
That's 80s, baby.
Well, listen. Wow. I like hearing myself, but not this much. We are at the hour and 40 point, so maybe this is a good point to cut this. Hold on, Mike. I'm muting you, Mike, just so I don't hear the echo. Holy crap! We covered a lot of ground this episode.
So much.
We did.
I feel like we could talk for hours more as well. It's such a pleasure.
We could, and you guys are always welcome to come back because this is a lot of fun.
Appreciate you.
Awesome.
Thank you once again for this awesome opportunity.
Oh yeah, no, and I would if Mike wasn't muted, he'd be telling you how great a time he had too. But then
we love Mike.
Yeah, but then we'd hear it like it was going down that like infinite tunnel.
Right.
Yep.
Have Autobahn playing in the background.
Ooh.
Nothing like a little craft work.
When you guys launch your Kickstarter, why don't you guys come back so we can have a link and talk about the actual project? And it's going to be the first Kickstarter for both of you guys, right?
Yep. We're doing it as a 2-for-1 special. We're going to have one book, both adventures, and then they're going to be republished later on at different points in time as separate individual things.
Yep.
All right.
Coming in hot.
Sounds like a plan.
Heck
well, a huge thank you to Bad Mike, because you can't say shit right now, so I'm going to say that to him. Love you a long time, Mike, Soldier Boy. But a huge thank you to Ryan and Milwaukee, because this was a really, really good show. We haven't been able to schedule guests for a couple of weeks, and to come back and have the two of you as our guests, as our last show before we do the year-end wrap-up, was a really good way to close this stuff out. I want to thank you all. I want to thank the very lively chat, and I think I kept up with you all. Remember that if you are being gifted, folks, tenkars.tavern@gmail.com, put OSR Christmas into the subject so your poor defenseless little bartender can figure this out a lot quicker. Other than that, gentlemen, you have any parting words?
A Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. We'll see you soon.
Yep. Merry Christmas, everyone. And if you haven't checked out my show before, it's Rolling Bones with Ryan Howard. I do it every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central. It's me and a guest talking about just different RPG topics. I recently had Black Lodge Games on. We were talking a lot about Candela Obscura and the complete train wreck that is. And we'll be starting that back up again in the new year. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you for watching us tonight. And we hope that you'll continue to check out what Wonky and I are working on.
Oh, you'll be seeing a lot of us in the future.
Yes, you will.
I promise that.
I've been a guest on Rolling Bones with Ryan. It is a great show. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
He does have a nice assortment of guests. He's better at getting those guests than me and Mike. What can I tell you?
He's a charming fella.
I try.
He's got that youth that Mike and I seem to be lacking. Oh my God, folks!
It's all the spiders.
Let's not get there, folks. As always, Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well. I'll be back again tomorrow with some random shite. If you're on the Discord server, 9 o'clock tomorrow night, we'll have a hangout in the Speakeasy. Live stream on Friday with more OSR Christmas. And
I'll be
Goodness
there.
Health on Saturday with
Sweet.
no OSR Christmas. All right, folks. God bless. Catch you later.